And good morning, Tennessee Valley. It's a great Monday morning, and we're excited to begin the week with you. 6:30 on a Monday morning. I know it's been real hard for you to get up this morning, but we hope that you had a good weekend and that your week last week was a good one. And we're going to get you started on a good week for this week, starting on August the 6th, this Monday. My name is Alan Mincy. I'm your host, your Monday morning host at sometimes, so we sort of alternate a little bit, but your Monday morning host today for Tennessee Valley this morning. I've got my co-host, Lou. Whoops, Lou's got to fix his shirt here. Lou is our Live United puppy that just showed up on the sidewalk. We've got several things showing up on our sidewalk, but that's a joke for folks that have driven by our office and know what I'm talking about. But Lou is here. Lou's got his book with him, his Look Out Kindergarten, Here I Come. Since school is starting, I believe it may be starting this week, we thought we would bring that book. That's the last book that children receive from the Imagination Library that we help fund. And when they turn 5, that's the book that they get from the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So I thought I'd bring it. Just want to take a quick moment here to talk about our United Way and let you know that tickets are going extremely fast for our kickoff, which is set for Wednesday, August the 15th at Walker Arena at Lee University. I think we have seating for somewhere in the mid 600s, and we're already up over 570, if I remember right, and that was late last week. And I believe the reason for that is our special guest, John Smoltz, who's going to be our kickoff speaker. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, give us a call down at the United Way, 479-2020, or go online, www.unitedwaybc.com. Go to the news and events section, and you'll see a way to order tickets online. But you better do it fast because there's not that many tickets left, and we want you to come. So that's coming up on August the 15th. I'm not going to take any more time for the introductions because we've got a great show. A couple of friends that I've known for many years, and one who I haven't seen in a few years, and I'm looking over at her. But one I see all the time, I guess. But I've got Joellen Dickey and Melissa Woody. And they are going to talk a little bit. Hey, it's what's going on over in London, the Olympics. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics, not necessarily the 2012 Olympics, but back in the days when we had the Olympics just, 20 miles east of us over on the Ocoee River. The 1996 Olympics. So we will be back after these messages with Joellen and with Melissa, so stay tuned.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in, or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Bradley County is home to a community of resilient, compassionate families who want the best for each other. The tragedies of the April 27, 2011 tornadoes brought our community together to bring aid to the hurting and helpless. It is time to come together once more. The Bradley County school system is underfunded, and our future leaders are receiving their education in substandard learning environments. On August 2nd, you will have an opportunity to further impact our great community by voting for the wheel tax. A vote for the wheel tax will not only rebuild Blue Springs Elementary School, but it will provide a new facility that is engineered to meet the demands that technology places on the infrastructure. The overcrowded Walker Valley High School students and teachers will have much-needed space and be able to use academic rooms for their intended purposes. The students and teachers of Lake Forest Middle School will no longer endure the hazardous conditions caused by the elements of nature and deteriorating classroom buildings. British philosopher Herbert Spencer stated, "The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action." Would you take action in the name of education and vote yes for the wheel tax? A vote for the wheel tax is a vote for the children and the future of Bradley County.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat-screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
And welcome back to Tennessee Valley this morning on this Monday morning, August the 6th. And I have two lovely ladies to my left. And let me introduce them. We have Joellen Dickey. It's almost like I don't know exactly what to call either one of you as far as your official titles, because I just know you as Joellen and Melissa. But Joellen Dickey and Melissa Woody. And I'm first going to ask you, Joellen, what do you do now? What is your title?
You mean during the Olympics?
No, right now, today.
Oh, I'm unemployed.
Unemployed, okay.
How's that for a title?
Okay.
She's a lady of leisure.
I don't know exactly.
Well, now, if anyone's looking for someone like Joellen, we'll promote you as we go through them.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
And then we have Melissa Woody, who is with the Cleveland Bradley Chamber of Commerce, Vice President.
For Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Vice President, that's a long title.
It
Sometimes
is.
it's better to be
Unemployed
or retired.
That's right.
Between jobs is what we like to call it. But I have known, I think I've known Melissa since she was Melissa Alley years and years ago. And I met Joellen back in the early 90s.
Probably 93.
I was looking through some of the stuff. I've got a World Cup shirt from World Cup 93, but there was I remember a meeting that we had back in the early 90s, and I can't remember exactly where it was. It wasn't at the Whitewater Center because it didn't exist at the time, did it?
No, oh no.
But it was a meeting that we had to try to get Whitewater on the Ocoee River.
We had an event at the Holiday Inn.
That could have been where it was. And that was back in the early 90s, and you had a group called WIN, Whitewater in 96.
Right.
And you were instrumental in that, if not leading the charge. I can't remember.
Yes, because it was a grassroots fundraising effort. It kind of started, I actually was in Atlanta at that time, and it started to raise funds to get us Whitewater into the Olympics because we weren't in at that point. Right.
And apparently it worked.
It worked.
Although I worked at the Cleveland Banner at the time, and I know we were going through some issues where we thought we had it, and then we didn't think we had it, and then we thought we had it, and eventually they decided that it was going to happen on the Ocoee River.
Right. I think it was fall of '92 when we found out for sure.
And then we did a lot of work after that.
Sure did.
I was just reading some of the history, and there was, I remember when the Tennessee Ocoee Development Agency was created, TOTA, and all that. But you had, and I say you, all the folks involved had to sort of change the Ocoee River to meet the needs for this event. You couldn't just go down and it was the upper Ocoee that you were
right, because
working
we
on.
ran the '93 World Cup on that lower section, right, on the side of the road with a lot of problems and issues there. And then, I remember when we were picking where the venue was going to be located on the river, we looked at several areas, and we actually looked at that old site, but that's in a curve right where the rafting put in is in the dam, and there wasn't room to do nearly what they had to do to have an Olympic event. So that's when they moved upstream and said, well, what about this part that we aren't using that's a lot wider?
I remember some of those early races, some of the volunteers delivering food. I was a volunteer at the time leading up to the Olympics, and I remember this vision, as soon as you said in that old place, you know, where there wasn't much room on the side, I had this vision of one of the volunteers that I knew, Sandy Hood, was pushing a shopping cart with all the food in it, passing out the food to all the volunteers as she was
almost
coming.
getting run over by traffic because the road was right there.
We needed a four-wheel drive shopping cart.
Well, that was part of the the issue is not just the river itself, but the access to it.
Right.
It was
the parking and the transportation to get in and out of there was amazing.
And did you have to have all these plans in place to make this sales pitch to Atlanta? Or
we had to have a pretty good plan, but mostly they were interested in funding at that point. So we were working, of course it was a project with TVA, State of Tennessee, and the USDA Forest Service to fund it. And so we had to pull that all together and then go to Billy Payne with Atlanta and say, we can pay for this and we can build this, you know, if you'll put it into the program.
And you say in '93 we actually found out that we were going to.
It was in '92 because
excuse me.
Several of us went to the Barcelona venue.
That's right.
And studied and crawled around and looked at all the wiring and went in every room and talked to volunteers and really because we were planning that we were going to be doing this too, and they were really good to take us in and show us everything they were doing. So we went to that, and it was right after we got back, and I believe that was in August. So right after that, our announcement was made.
Now, Melissa, were you involved at the time? Were you with the chamber at the
Well,
time?
no, I was not with the chamber. I was in PR and marketing for Bradley Memorial at the time, and so our public relations office was very much in support. We were very involved with the Chamber of Commerce at the time, even though I work there now. I've been there for about almost 13 years, but at the time we were volunteers at the chamber, so we were very much in favor and in support of the effort to bid our Ocoee River to be the venue.
And the hospital was involved as a sponsor, so you were involved on that end of things too.
Well, and you had logistics too. You had to not only worry about the river, but you had to have places for the athletes to stay.
Right.
I know Lee University was very involved in that.
For the Olympics, but prior to the Olympics, because we held 4 or 5 events working up to that, we had the homestay program. And I'd forgotten this, but I saw something looking through some things, and we called it the Whitewater Zoo Crew. And we had a Noah's Ark with all the athletes hanging out of it, and that was why we called it the Zoo Crew. And so that was a huge program, and so many local people here really had a good time having athletes in their homes and developing a one-on-one relationship and acting like their moms and dads and taking them out to the river and standing on the side and cheering them along.
You got involved because you are a whitewater person. You were a kayaker.
Whitewater person.
Well,
Paddler.
I'm not sure exactly how to
I
say that.
actually did that, yeah.
Right. Kayaking, canoeing.
Not racing, but yeah.
Well, but you were.
Yeah.
But Melissa, I bet you had not done any of the.
I'm a professional rafting customer.
That's good
I've
too.
been down the river about 18 times, I think, and I love it every single time. I'm all about supporting our commercial rafters outfitters.
But you were excited about the Olympics coming. I know.
Oh yeah, of course, and of course, you know, no way of knowing that I would be the Chamber's Convention and Visitors Bureau person later in life. So what a great basis that's been to promote the Ocoee River as America's only Olympic river, only Olympic slalom competition river for sure. And that has been, you know, a joy to be able to have that great distinction that all of the efforts, you know, that Joe Ellen's crew in the very beginning, you know, paid off. And it's still paying off for us. because we're always able to say that we're America's Olympic river, and we're also the only, and I say we, because we market this area as an Ocoee region. We understand, of course, that is in our neighboring beautiful Polk County, and we work with those folks a lot. We work with the folks in Meigs County for the Cherokee Removal Park. We're a really great team in Southeast Tennessee, and we have an organization called the Southeast Tennessee Tourism Association. And we're very much involved in promoting this area as a region. So, we're very proud of the Ocoee River, and it's actually the only natural river that this competition has ever been held on. It was the first river that this competition, the canoe and kayak competition of the Olympics, was ever held on, and then it's since then has remained the only natural river because the other Summer Olympics have built venues. If you watch, last week we were watching some of the races on from the London Games. Joe Ellen and I were talking about it right before we came on, and it's on a man-made river. That's an expensive venture. I mean, ours was, I'm sure, very expensive to prepare with the construction of the Whitewater Center and the availability of the space for the stands and reconfiguring the road. I mean, that's a lot of expense that you go to, but we didn't have to build a river. We had water and we had a river.
I tell you, looking at what they've built over in England, that is a sharp looking place, though. It looks great.
Yeah. It's impressive.
It is very impressive, but I think we're still known as the Olympic.
We're definitely unique.
The Olympic River.
There's just not any other venue quite like the Ocoee.
And I would bet that some of the whitewater rafting companies probably use that in their sales pitch. Come raft the Olympic river, the Ocoee,
They do.
our country.
And look at how popular it is. I mean, we've got upwards of 300,000 seats on those rafts every year. Coming to experience this. Yeah, keep them coming, keep them coming. And, for folks who live around here, if you haven't experienced the rapids of the Ocoee, that's something that you're very much taking for granted. That's a backyard fun that is right here in your neighborhood. And it's amazing. And it's an experience you will never forget. And I don't care how many times I do it. I love it, and it's exciting every single time.
You know what they say, though. It's the things that are in our own backyard that we don't go see.
Right. I mean, we're so fortunate. We live in an outdoor mecca. People come from everywhere to visit our Cherokee National Forest, our Ocoee River, our hang gliding in Dayton. I mean, there are so many great things. Mountain climbing, hiking, just amazing outdoor opportunities here. And we have some people that have never even hit a fraction of those things.
Well, there's people in Cleveland that have never been to Red Clay.
Wow. That's
I lived in McMinn County. There are people that never went to the Lost Sea.
Yeah.
Things like that.
What a great area that we live in, and what wonderful jewels that we have. So check it out, people.
See what I'm giving Melissa sort of an open mic here to promote the area. But these ladies have brought some paraphernalia from the 1996 Olympics, and I want them to show it off. But before we do that, let's take a break. We'll be right back, and I think we've got hats and prints and magazine articles and a shirt.
This is my mint condition 16-year-old shirt from the Centennial Olympic Games.
We'll let you explain that a little bit more. We'll be back right after these messages.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Bradley County is home to a community of resilient, compassionate families who want the best for each other. The tragedies of the April 27, 2011 tornadoes brought our community together to bring aid to the hurting and helpless. It is time to come together once more. The Bradley County school system is underfunded, and our future leaders are receiving their education in substandard learning environments. On August 2nd, you will have an opportunity to further impact our great community by voting for the wheel tax. A vote for the wheel tax will not only rebuild Blue Springs Elementary School, but it will provide a new facility that is engineered to meet the demands that technology places on the infrastructure. The overcrowded Walker Valley High School students and teachers will have much needed space and be able to use academic rooms for their intended purposes. The students and teachers of Lake Forest Middle School will no longer endure the hazardous conditions caused by the elements of nature and deteriorating classroom buildings. British philosopher Herbert Spencer stated, "The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action." Would you take action in the name of education and vote yes for the wheel tax? A vote for the wheel tax is a vote for the children and the future of Bradley County.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
And we're back with Tennessee Valley this morning on this Monday morning, and it looks like Melissa's got her hat on, ready to show off some of the things.
Yeah, show and tell.
I
got some swag.
I told Melissa that Joe Ellen was coming, and I said we're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics. So I think she probably went through everything she had to. But you probably had it in a special place.
I'm a souvenir hoarder, so I did have it all in a special place, and this is all this is special stuff to me. This is this is a once in a lifetime experience.
So not to take away from Joe Ellen, but. Okay, Melissa,
tell
us what you got.
Okay, well, I was a protocol officer, and that meant that I was stationed in what is now the Ocoee Whitewater Center, operated by the U.S. Forest Service. That was built especially for the VIP center for the Olympics. And so myself and Bernadette Douglas, Nancy Neal, Leslie Christian, they were all working at the chamber at the time, and of course I was at the hospital. And we all were accepted. We had to apply. You had a big, thick application that I've got here somewhere. I don't know if it's in my stack. But we applied, and then we got letters that said you are accepted as an Olympic volunteer and you are assigned to protocol. So we had to go to Atlanta and do a big training session. And here's my staff book. This is a notebook that tells all about all the things that it gives you an overview, the big picture of the Olympics, things that people may ask. We had special instruction of how to deal with dignitaries when they came into the protocol center. And I mean, it was just an amazing experience. This shirt happens to be one that I got from one of my friends who was volunteering in another area, because in the protocol office we had to wear uniforms that were long skirts with stockings, and it was July up in the mountains, and we're wearing stockings with Rockport shoes. Everything was sponsored. Of course, Hanes hats, sure. Hanes shirts. Oops, there, my mic. Sorry. And we had all this clothing that was provided, but I don't know if they are able to do any kind of a close-up on this. But this is Nancy Neal, Bernadette Douglas, and I standing on the gold medal podium. And we have our uniforms. Yeah, I'll just leave it right there until they close up a little bit. But we were able to stand on the gold medal podium. But it shows our outfits. We had long skirts. Of course, we did have the hats that everyone else had, but we also had these lovely scarves. I'll let Joellen kind of
these are beautiful.
Show those. Yeah, there we go. There's a little. There we are on that gold medal stand with our long skirts and our little fanny packs and our dress shirts. I didn't have a collared shirt like this. This is why one of my friends shared it with me, because we had dress shirts. that we wore. And
for some reason, I wanted you to sing "The Hills Are Alive" or something like that. I'm not sure.
But we had these lovely scarves, and I was just saying I'm so much like my grandmother Allie, because she would always put everything back in its original packaging. And this, even though I wore this scarf, it just looks like a brand new scarf because I had it all packed away in its original package. And but it is, so significant and so special because it says the Centennial Olympic Games. We're the only venue in the whole world, this Atlanta, Ocoee, Georgia venue, that can say that we had the Centennial Olympic Games of the summer. So it's just such a special special memory for me. This was a card that when the opening ceremonies had their dress rehearsal, all of the volunteers from every venue, we were the only venue outside of the state of Georgia, but from all of the venues in Atlanta and all of the Georgia venues, all of the volunteers were invited to the opening ceremony dress rehearsal. And so we got cards to make designs in the stands just like everybody else did.
So like at a football game when you see them doing something.
So this is my card, and it says on the back, raise card when you see the number 6. So when the number 6 went on the screen, you raised your card like this so that you could be part of the design that was being done. So I told you I'm a hoarder. I've got everything.
Yeah, obviously you have a blank.
And this year it's all digital.
Yeah. And it's so funny
amazing.
because in a lot of the guides, like this is the guide for the slalom events, for the canoe and kayak competition, but this is the guide in Italian. And so they had different languages that were presented. This is featuring all of the Italian athletes, and so we had those. But the funny you should mention all the digital. We were looking at the chamber office. I had brought all of this stuff in the other day, and we were looking at the chamber office at a lot of the instruction says how to check your email. Like they had stations that you could go check your email, and now everybody's got it on their phone. And so it was so different. It's so funny to look back at 16 years ago how different everything is now. But it was just so much fun. I have pins on my hat. One of those, the day 13 of the 96 Olympics was my birthday. And so when we went down to the opening ceremony.
Which was July 31st.
July 31st.
Say happy birthday.
Yes, thank you. And by the way, today is my sister's birthday. August the 6th is a big milestone day for Donna Allie Simpson. So happy birthday, sister. Donna. I wish she was just 30 because that would make me only 23, but she's got another milestone today. So.
And while we're at it, let's not forget that Joe Ellen's birthday is coming up on the 20th. How did I know that? How did I know that?
Summer babies.
So we just got to say happy birthday to everybody.
Everybody. So happy summer birthdays.
Yes.
But that was a chance that we could buy all of the pins because, we had no other way of going. Well, you could buy tickets. In fact, I have in my little souvenir thing 2 tickets for a baseball game that my mom and dad had purchased for one of the Olympic baseball games. And so we could go to the venues in that way. But this was a chance at the opening ceremony to get to buy all of the pins and have pin supply for trading. And I had traded some. There's a Portugal Olympic pin on here, and there's a Panama somewhere on here. And so it was just really fun trading pins.
I think that was one of the most, one of the funnest things was the pins that you would get. I don't know if you even had a chance to get any pins.
I do for more earlier events than I actually do the Olympics.
I know that I've got the Izzy the photographer pin that I think only the media people got their hands on. But
Izzy.
Yeah, is
he was a puzzle.
But then I also got a pin from the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And it's sort of like, why do they have an Olympic pin?
Okay.
But they were involved. There was a lot of security over there.
Oh, well, we were stationed beside our protocol office in the Whitewater Center, was stationed by this office of guys. And they all had fanny packs, and they all had these T-shirts that had like this cartoon drawing on them, and it had some weird stuff. Well, we couldn't really figure out what the deal was with those guys. And we figured out later they were the FBI agents that were there. And one day we were in the Whitewater Center and we were just cleaning up our areas and just getting ready, preparing for the next day. And all of a sudden the downstairs door, which is where O's on the River is now, the gift store at the Whitewater Center, it opens and about 15 guys come in dressed all in black with big long cases on their back with black hats. I mean, it's July. And they're all dressed in black, and they just quietly go up the stairs. And we all just stopped and watched them. And I said, "Where you guys been?" And nobody said one word. And I said, "If you tell us, will you have to kill us?" And it was snipers that were up in the mountains, you know, just security. Because at one point, we were going to be hosting the VIP of the entire Olympics, which was President Antoine Samaranch, who was the president of the IOC, International Olympic Committee, and he would have been higher. We learned this in our protocol classes. He was higher up than any other head of state, anyone else that would be a VIP in the Olympics. He was considered the man. And he was going to be visiting, accompanied by Vice President at the time, Al Gore. And a couple of days before that visit was supposed to take place was when some bombing incident happened at the Olympic Park in Atlanta, and so that visit was canceled. So I think that probably the highest level person that we greeted in the VIP section for the canoe and kayak competition was the president of Spain. I believe was the highest level person that was there, and then of course other dignitaries from other countries as well. But it was quite the experience. It was something I will never forget. I don't remember every detail of it because I can't even remember what I ate for lunch today or yesterday or last week. But
well, we'll give her a break on that. She's just come back from the beach.
So, yes, that is true.
Her mind is not back on.
That is true.
The important things.
But it was really an honor to be a part of that, and it certainly is a great basis for my job now at the Chamber and promoting the area. It was certainly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I'm just so glad and so thankful to people like Joe Ellen who helped make that happen. You know, we would have never been able or in a position to be chosen for a venue like that if it hadn't been for the people who made it happen.
Exactly.
and who made that bid and had a dream and followed up on that dream and saw it become reality. So thank you, Joe Ellen.
You're welcome.
And I know the proximity of you're not actually from this area, are you? Or
I am.
North Georgia?
I grew up in Athens.
Oh, Athens.
Tennessee.
Well, gee,
not
I grew up in
Georgia.
Etowah. We should be
Yeah.
like mortal
Cousins.
enemies or something.
Cousins.
Yes, but I know that there were probably other rivers in the country that might have thought, well, you know, we could host the, you know, you got in Wausau, no.
Right. There's a whitewater event on a real river in Wausau.
Right. So you had other places. So it was might have been a little competition on this.
But it had to be close to Atlanta.
To Atlanta,
so.
sure.
Yeah.
But well, then maybe they weren't as competitive
Right.
as they could have been. But it just, you're right. Without the people like Joe Ellen and some of the others that were involved there in the beginning, it would have never occurred.
It was
And
a big vision.
Well, and we
to
had,
hold.
probably 30, 35 people from the hospital who were volunteers. And just think about all the other people in our community who had this amazing adventure, had this amazing experience. And it's all because of that work.
It's sort of like the people who have said that they were in the movie 42. I think we've got 1,500 people from Bradley County that are in that, and we know they're not that many. But a lot of folks say, I volunteered on the river, but there were a lot of folks from Bradley County
Oh, absolutely.
that were out there,
Lots
and Polk
and
County,
lots.
and all over our community. That without them, it would have been tough to do as well. And the Forest Service was very. I remember Paul Wright and all those guys
All
were
the
very
team
involved in
and
it too.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about, and Jo Ellen, she thought about it a lot because she coordinated all these volunteers. But leading up to those Olympic Games, you had to have these trial runs, and I mentioned somebody delivering food. I mean, you had to think of everything. You had to have people delivering food up and down the river to the volunteers who were manning gates, and photographers, and people dealing with the press, and you had to have people who would do drug testing as soon as the athletes. I got to do that one time, escort them to the drug testing as soon as they got out of the water, and we just all had different jobs.
Judges, yeah.
Boat
weighers, and
it's amazing what went into this. I mean, so the coordination of all of those, not just the games, but all the races leading up to, testing out the venue was just amazing.
I think we may be embarrassing her.
Oh, nah.
Nah.
I'm just remembering a lot of work.
She's just getting tired.
I'm
We're
getting
talking
tired
about
thinking
it.
about it.
It was a lot of work, but it was so much fun, and I agree with you. It's something I wouldn't give up for the world.
Oh, yeah.
I know you have an early morning meeting to go
I
to,
do.
plus a sister who has a birthday.
I do, yes.
Gotta-
We have to get to celebrate.
Got to take her somewhere special today.
Yes.
So you do that. Happy birthday again to you.
Thank
So
you.
tell your other half. I'm not going to say better half that we said hey.
I will have to tell you this. When we started comparing our Olympic stories, Dewey
He
was
had some, I'm sure.
He did. He was at Cleveland Police Department at the time, and so he was on the SWAT team, and he was involved in the security for the Olympics. So I was telling all about how I was in the VIP area and got to go up to the, see the races and watch, all the folks in the stands and all the exciting stuff. And his poor little lip pooched out, and he said he never got to leave the Olympic Village, which was at Lee University. But they were in charge, the Cleveland Police Department SWAT and department was in charge of securing the Olympic Village, which was a very important job, honey. But he never got to go up to the venue, so I feel bad about that.
Don't make him feel bad. Don't make him feel
But
bad.
he was so important. He was
We'll get you a copy of this show so you can play it over and over.
He was in
for
an
him.
important
You can let him wear your
position.
scarf. Yeah,
I will. I'll let him wear my
Let him wear the
scarf.
hat, whatever like that.
He did get a shirt like this, though, so we wore them on the opening night of the Beijing Olympics. We were having a chamber trip to the Lookouts game, and we both had our shirts on 4 years ago, and we were getting yells from the street, cool shirts. So we were feeling like cool people. Yeah, I wore this out the other day. It was all the buzz at lunch. And
Sounds
yeah,
good. Well,
it
because the
was
Olympics
great.
are going on.
I could probably wear this a couple more times in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Well, but.
Oh, I'll wash it.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, that might be best. Melissa, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Going to let you go and do what you have to do. We're going to take a break,
It's good to
Fun
see
to hear
Joellen.
things.
and then Joellen and I are going to talk a little bit more about the Olympics before we close up our show today. But we'll be back after these messages. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Bradley County is home to a community of resilient, compassionate families who want the best for each other. The tragedies of the April 27, 2011 tornadoes brought our community together to bring aid to the hurting and helpless. It is time to come together once more. The Bradley County school system is underfunded, and our future leaders are receiving their education in substandard learning environments. On August 2nd, you will have an opportunity to further impact our great community by voting for the wheel tax. A vote for the wheel tax will not only rebuild Blue Springs Elementary School, but it will provide a new facility that is engineered to meet the demands that technology places on the infrastructure. The overcrowded Walker Valley High School students and teachers will have much needed space and be able to use academic rooms for their intended purposes. The students and teachers of Lake Forest Middle School will no longer endure the hazardous conditions caused by the elements of nature and deteriorating classroom buildings. British philosopher Herbert Spencer stated, "The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action." Would you take action in the name of education and vote yes for the wheel tax? A vote for the wheel tax is a vote for the children and the future of Bradley County.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat-screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
And we are back with Tennessee Valley this morning for our, I guess you call it the third segment of our show. We appreciate Melissa Alley. Oh, excuse me, I'll keep calling her Melissa Alley. Melissa Woody being on the show this morning. Dewey's going to kill me for that, but we've already got him, zinged him a couple times anyway. But appreciate her being on the show, and I had no idea she was going to bring all that stuff.
Wasn't that fun?
I had no idea she had all that stuff. I knew she was involved in it, but that was great.
Getting to hear a kind of unique perspective, being the protocol officer in the Whitewater Center, that was fun to hear.
And you worked with Melissa and so many people. I bet that you have a lot of paraphernalia from.
Actually,
maybe not as much as she does,
because I was busy in the kind of behind the scenes, and really, I did get to go to the dress rehearsal in Atlanta that she was talking about. We rode a bus down, that was fun. Yeah. But so many of the things that the average volunteer was out there getting to experience, I didn't, because I was back behind, organizing things.
Well, you were back behind and you were organizing, but there has to be some things about being involved with the Olympics that you remember that are things that really touched you, I guess, while you were involved. What are some of the things that made such an impact on you?
I think the biggest thing was just working with the volunteers. The goal was, when we got the bid for the '93 World Cup, was to get local folks trained. We had 3 years to do it, and if we hadn't done that, ACOG would have brought in, that's the Atlanta Committee for Olympic Games.
I hadn't heard that acronym in a long time.
ACOG.
Yeah.
They would have brought in volunteers from their, central volunteering, but we insisted as part of our deal with them that if we trained local people, then local people would get, the one up on being volunteers. So that program of, we had a database in our office that tracked every job everyone did, what race they did it, how many hours they did it, and so, that was probably the key thing, was getting to work with that many people locally and meeting people and just making friends that, were
And I felt that way about the athletes, because you had so many folks from different nationalities.
Right, that was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah, I started to say you had some interaction with them.
And what was fun, because we had the homestay program I mentioned, quite often when the athletes would fly into Atlanta Airport and make their way up here, and they'd end up at our little office out in Polk County, at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. in the evening, trying to figure out where they're supposed to go, and so no one would speak English, and you got to really interact with them, and that was fun.
I think the group that I enjoyed being around the most was the folks from the Czech Republic.
Right.
They were just some fun guys.
Yeah, they were, and I was watching the Olympic events last week, and there was a Czech athlete, the woman's kayak athlete, who was competing this year again. It was her 6th Olympics.
Wow. Okay.
And there were a couple of guys too, Marta Kahn, who's in K1, Estanguet from France, and just to see athletes that were here and still remember their names was just so much fun.
Well, and I still hear some, of course we hear about Joe Jacoby, because Joe's over in Copper Hill, I guess.
Yeah.
So Joe's still in Ducktown. He's still in our area.
Right.
But I've connected with Wayne Dickert and Horace Holden. And there were just so many that they didn't go away. You kept hearing their names mentioned.
Yeah.
Scott Shipley, of course.
And so, in last week's Olympics, Eric Giddens was
I remember Eric.
an announcer.
Okay.
He's now announcing, which I thought was fun. And Joe Jacoby is the CEO of USA Canoe and Kayak now for the U.S. Federation.
Well,
he's gone a long way in the sport.
I have them as a Facebook like or something like that. So they're doing a great job of updating, or they, they're updating, things that are going on with the organization. Did a great job updating during the Olympics of things that were going on over there too. I enjoyed the meeting the athletes, the Hearns.
Right.
And there's a golfer weren't they from Canada? Was Davey and is it Kathy?
No, they're from Bethesda, Maryland.
Oh, okay, for some reason. But there's a golfer from Canada named David Hearn. I keep going, did he change sports? No, surely not. And then, I see them. But they were, I think everybody was so nice. All the athletes were so, and it maybe that's a sport that they just connect to each other.
Right.
And they don't have that animosity. They're competitive, but they're not.
But they're all pulling for each other, and
Exactly.
I've seen that this year. Even you can still see it,
Well,
how they pull for each other, and I'm sure all sports do. But we're a smaller sport. We're not as upfront, mainstream, and so our athletes don't get the ego push probably like the swimmers and the gymnasts and some of the others.
I was going to ask you about this year. What has impressed you with the Olympics? I've heard some interesting things about NBC's coverage of the Olympics, but what has impressed you with what you've seen going on over in England?
Well, I haven't watched a lot of general stuff. I'm pretty much focused on the whitewater still.
Sure.
What's fun this year is there's live feed, and so I've got it all hooked up with my TV. And they've been competing at 1:30 in London, which is 8:30 a.m. here, and it's just been convenient every morning to turn it on. So that's something that we haven't had before. We've had to, and canoe kayak usually doesn't get huge amount of coverage. They'll get the highlights and medal ceremonies, but to be sitting there and watching every minute and seeing all these great close-ups has been so much
you're
fun.
getting to see some things that you couldn't see from the bank.
Right, you couldn't if you were in the stands. You couldn't begin to see what we're seeing. So that's been a lot of fun.
It is such a photogenic, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, sport though.
Yeah, it is.
Just to see them and the intensity.
I love the intensity.
The faces, it's just amazing. Yeah. You brought something with you. I wanted to.
Oh, yes.
We let Melissa show off everything that she has.
Well, I've got a great show off. This is this surfaced actually just this summer. I don't know if we can.
I think
we see it
we
here?
Can see it. There we go.
This was the first year that we, once we got in, that we were doing fundraising and getting sponsors. And so these were some of our early sponsors.
Oh, okay.
Do you know these folks?
I'll have to look and see.
Do you recognize? We have Bob Dolan. He was with American National Bank at the time.
And that's
Clarence Neese with Hardee's.
Right, there's
yes.
Dwayne.
He was with Bradley Memorial. And Ken
Renz.
Yes. Oh, Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And so these were some of the first sponsors that signed up, and we did this event in the park downtown. And we hung gates up. You can see this says Nantahala Racing Club. I think some of them came over to hang the gates.
Yeah.
And the contest was, they had their suits on, was to see who could put the gear on the fastest. That was the first contest, and it was hilarious watching these guys pull spray skirts on over their dress slacks.
That's not easy to do.
And life jackets on over their coats and ties.
Yeah.
And then they paddled around in the gates on the sidewalks. And it was a lot of fun. And
I know exactly.
Just a way to get good media coverage, which you were probably doing at the time.
My office is right now just down from that, so I can imagine them in Johnston Park going around like that. We had so many activities going on. We had the Summer Fest and things like that that were all involved with it.
Events leading up to, because we had so many events, practice events. We had the 93 World Cup, and in 94 we had the team trials and a slalom champ. No, that was 95. 2 things in 94 and 2 or 3 things in 95, and the team trials in 96. So we had a lot of practice.
Now, the whitewater, the canoeing, the kayaking had been a part of the Olympics earlier.
In 1972 in Munich.
Right.
And then they weren't. And I honestly don't remember why they weren't, why they were and then they weren't.
Right.
Usually it's a matter of athlete quotas, and every athlete costs so much money, and it's a place in Olympic Village and so forth. So we weren't, and maybe it's just that the countries who had the Olympics in those years in between just didn't care enough or didn't have someone to push it. So we were in 92 for Barcelona.
There was that break.
So there was that break from 72 to 92.
But we've had it since 92 in the Olympics, no breaks.
So it went in 92, but there was no guarantee it would happen in 96.
Right.
And that's where our athletes, it was really the Atlanta racing community who spearheaded and contacted me about doing a fundraising and said, let's see if we can't get it in 96 and then get it where it's not you're not having to question it every year.
Right.
And it's a regular sport. So that's what happened after 96.
So we've had it in 96, 2000. Where was that?
Oh, well, you're testing that. Let's
boy,
see.
we're both drawing a blank because
let's see. We've had Beijing and Athens and
Barcelona.
And Barcelona 92.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And we're missing one. There's another one somewhere.
Los Angeles.
Athens. No.
Yeah, Athens was
maybe the next one. I think that might have been 2000.
I think we'll Google that as soon as we leave and try to find
somebody
it.
else can remember.
But
where
let's
that
hope
last
that
one
it
was.
continues to be a sport. I know there's some folks that, all they're concerned about is the swimming and the diving and the basketball team but now you hear people saying, I love to watch the fencing. There's actual people that play badminton against each other, and we're not going to talk about the controversies there. But some of these sports that you didn't even realize were Olympic sports, and that now they're bringing in golf and things like that. But
well, and in Europe, canoe kayak is huge.
Okay.
And when I was watching it last Thursday, some of the finals, the stands were just packed. And a friend commented, wow, look how many people. I said, oh, in Europe, every event is huge. It tends to be less popular here. It's more of a, there's a small group of people who really love it, but the average person in the U.S. maybe isn't really aware of it. So.
But I tell you what, when we had the Olympics on the Ocoee, they were packed.
It was packed.
It was packed every day.
Quite exciting. Yeah.
It was exciting. Do you get back up there much?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I'm still involved a little bit, and I am a partner in a company, co-adventure company, and we own some rafting companies. So,
do you get out and do any individual kayaking or canoeing on your own?
I'm in Chattanooga now, and I've really enjoyed just flat water.
Okay.
Because of the river there is so much fun. And then the other day I tried stand-up paddleboarding. That was really, really fun. So I've got some girlfriends coming in this weekend, and we're all going to go stand-up paddleboarding.
That looks
that is
difficult.
The newest thing to do, and it's great fun.
The paddle's longer?
Yes, because you're standing up. They have to be way long.
If you're short, you don't have to worry about it. But
so my kayaking skills are serving me well because I'm able to just get up and go. And,
well, do we expect stand-up paddling to be an Olympic sport anytime soon?
That's a great idea.
There we go.
Yeah. I think we should consider that. It's fun to watch.
Would you consider trying out?
Well, I think I might be a little over the age limit at this point.
A little over the age limit? Okay.
Yeah.
You say that you watched the Olympics on the whitewater on TV. I haven't been following it as much as I should. Who are our top athletes in the sport now, do you?
Well, what's fun, the first thing I noticed, because I looked to see who made the team, these are the kids of our athletes.
Oh, okay.
And so that's just really wild. Our K1 is Scott Parsons, and I'm going to guess here, I think he's 32 to 34. And I remember the first time I ever saw him was at the Savage River. I went to the 1989 World Championships, which is the first time there had been a World Championships in the U.S., and it was a big deal. And it's the first time I'd ever seen a whitewater race, so that's probably what started the fever in me. And I believe Scott, we called him Scotty then, I think he was 12 years old if I'm not mistaken, That was the year that Davy Hearn was really doing so much, and John Lugbill and some of those guys from Bethesda.
You keep throwing these names out that I remember when you say them. Sure.
And there was Scotty Parsons, who was just this little kid, and now he's our, he was our main athlete, the one that qualified in K1.
Okay.
And then there was a team in C2 this year, Eric Hurd and, I'll get his name right, Larimer. Jeff Larimer, and Mike Larimer was the person who first came to me in Atlanta as an athlete and said, would you consider doing this fundraising campaign to get Atlanta in the Olympics? It was his father, so now there's his son out there paddling. So how fun to see the generations. It just keeps on going.
And I know that, and it's sad, but we've lost a few folks. I think Rich Weiss. And that was a canoeing accident?
Yes, it was.
And I remember him distinctly from the '96 Olympics, so it was
very sad. Yeah,
very sad, but
fine young man.
It's there's still those folks out there, and I know that these folks from the '96 Olympics, though they're too old to compete, they're still out on the river.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
and a lot of them coach, and like Joe, he's in an executive position and leading the U.S. and training athletes, which is exciting because we need some good training and we need some good programs.
Where's the 2016 Olympics? Do you know?
Oh,
I keep asking you questions that I should know the answer to.
I heard it the other day. Now I can't think where it is.
But is it?
Don't know.
Okay, so I was going to ask you if it was a place where they probably will have to build
always, but artificial course, yes. But Europe, almost every country has one. We're the only ones that didn't. So lots of European countries have an artificial course.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm most likely, there are very few rivers where it could be a real river unenhanced and have an Olympic event. Okay. So
we've got a couple of minutes left, so I won't I won't ask you any tough questions that you can't answer, but it's got to be something that you'll always remember, and you got to feel proud. I know we were pumping you up and everything about all the things that you did, but you've got to have a sense of pride that I was involved in this right from the beginning. And
it is amazing to think back to the first days of the vision that some athletes had. And then they got me, buying into that vision. And then when we came here, it was so much of an economic development vision for Polk County and for the Ocoee region. But just to think back to the early days of the vision and then to have the vision of what really happened and what is still continuing to happen because of it. Right. That's what's pretty exciting, and it is something for all of us to be proud of because
I think
a whole bunch of people worked really hard in this area to make it happen.
Well, I'm glad that you were involved and got the Ocoee involved and all of our volunteers. And I appreciate you being on the show today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is fun to remember.
Well, I'll get you back in 4 years, and we'll do it again.
Wherever that
may be. That's our show for today. Guys, have a great week, and we will see you again soon. Bye bye. You have to wave. We do the wave at the end. Okay. Bye bye.